Hello everyone, this is Janessa Mosley again with JM Wildlife Arc, and I apologize, the first half of the video got cut off due to my phone overheating. It is a little bit warm today, and the stand I have the phone on got just a little bit too hot, so I went ahead and moved it a little more into the shade. As you can see, the background's gotten a little bit closer. So I just wanted to finish talking about a couple of things and talking about Waffles here in my part 2 video for Waffles. So as I was talking about previously, I was on the topic of feeding live rats, and I had a bad experience where someone had shipped a boa to me. The person, like I said, I won't mention any names, they didn't have any experience shipping boas. They no longer breed or work with boas, and they shipped a boa to me, and prior to shipping the boa to me, it had been bitten by a live mouse. It was a smaller boa. It was about a year old, I believe, maybe younger. So when the boa arrived to me, it was in such bad condition, it unfortunately had passed before I could get the boa seen by a vet. So that was a huge learning experience for myself. I learned a lot of things that day. That's actually another video I would like to make, or another topic for video is feeding live versus feeding frozen, why it's better to feed frozen in my opinion, my experiences with feeding frozen, and just getting more into that topic. And then another topic I would like to talk about is how to properly ship a boa. After that experience happened, I was devastated. I was scared to have any animal ever shipped to me, any live animal ever shipped to me. So for the longest time, I actually refused to have any boa shipped to me. It wasn't until I talked to a different breeder that I look up to for inspiration that I would like to make another video about, but I would like to ask for his permission first. And it wasn't until I met this breeder and had talked to this breeder that I started feeling comfortable with getting boas shipped to me. And then I learned how to ship boas myself, and now I have full confidence in shipping boas, as long as it's done properly. I actually have a checklist that I go over prior to shipping any boa to make sure that everything is done properly, which that's another video I would like to make. I would like to go over how I ship my boas, the shipping kits I use, and just kind of go make a detailed video about that and go through that a little bit more in depth. That way, if you're breeding or if you're wanting to ship a boa or reptile, you can learn how to do so properly. Or vice versa, if you're having a boa or animal shipped to you, you can make sure that the person that is shipping that boa to you or that animal ships the animal properly, because not everyone knows how to ship animals properly, which is very important. That's a whole nother topic in video I would like to get into, because that was a big learning experience for me. When that boa, the boa I had mentioned from the inexperienced breeder, when that boa was shipped to me that had passed away, like I said, I was very devastated. I was more upset at the fact that the animal had passed and that the animal came to me in the condition that it did. I never want that to happen to myself, and I would never want that to happen to anybody else. That would be the last thing I would want in the case of the animal and in the case for the person. So that's another topic I would like to talk about. I'm going to kind of wrap up today's video with maybe going over a couple different things. I had primarily gone over what I wanted to talk about in the first half of this video, which was talking about Waffles, her genetics, the males I'd like to pair her with, what my goals for her are, and once again, just going over a little bit of my care tips, how I feel about my boas, how I look at my boas. Like I had mentioned, whether my boas breed or not, There are certain ones that I would like to keep or plan on keeping forever. Even if and when they are retired as breeders, I still plan on keeping them, because I don't just look at them as breeding machines. I look at them as live animals that enjoy to have a healthy, happy life, just like you and I do. And excuse all the noise in the background. Our neighbors seem to be having a little bit of a party today in the nice warm weather, so I do apologize for the background noise. Like I mentioned before, I do like to take some of my videos outside in the sun. It really shows the boa's true colors, versus the inside light is not as good. So for my inside videos, that will probably be for showing and talking about my enclosures, the different racks I use, what brands of thermostat I use, the different heating I use, which now I primarily use heat panels. I keep saying different heating, however, I myself prefer heat panels at this point. So that's another topic, another video, another topic I will go over. A lot of different things I want to talk about that I'd want to all talk about in one video. Talking about them and the different care routines and such is very, very enjoyable for me. And just talking about Waffles, which a lot of Pancake's offspring from my first litter do look a lot like Waffles. Waffles is the aunt to my first litter, so she does have a direct, not contact, but a direct bloodline to them. So I do think a lot of them are going to look like her, and a lot of them already do look like her, as far as the beautiful trophy jungle pattern and the beautiful orange coloring on the side. When Waffles was growing up, before I got her, when she was about a year old, I saw younger pictures of her. I saw baby pictures of her, and she did have a little bit of orange on her sides, but not nearly as much as she has now. So she's really developed a lot of her of her color the older she's gotten. So I have very high hopes that the first litter I produced are going to do the same. A lot of them already have a lot of color on their sides. However, I can tell some of them are gaining color with each shed the older that they get. So I don't mind keeping as many as I end up keeping from the first litter. I do have several of them listed on my morph market if you want to check that out. I do have the link to my morph market in the description of this video, in my YouTube description, if you ever want to check out what boas I have listed that are available, or if you ever want to check out my own personal boas and the future breeding pairs I have. You can also learn a little bit more about me, how long I've been working with boas. I try to also include a little bit about myself in each video. That way people can kind of get to know me without actually meeting me yet, if you haven't met me. Most people haven't met me. I'm typically very shy and a little bit reserved, but I'm trying to be more open, communicate more, talk more with the reptile community, be more a part of the reptile community, and just share what I'm working with, my projects, my ideas, my goals, who I am as a person, and just continue to share videos and talk about the boas and overall care for them. I do have other breeding projects that I will talk about in other videos. I know that's kind of been my main topic for really all my videos, is the breeding pairs I have. I have a couple more. I can't name them all off the top of my head right now, but I do have a few more males, a few more females, a few more breeding pairs that I would like to talk about and show off. Not all of them involve jungle. As I mentioned in the first video, Aurora, she's not a jungle. She's 100% het PK stripe. And then Pochita, the hypo blood 66% call, or het call, excuse me, he is not jungle either. I have another female. She's coming up on 2 years old. Her name is Integra. She is a 2023 normal 66% double het leopard blood that I would like to show in another video. She also has a beautiful long line on her back, but she has no jungle. And she has no hypo, so that'll be fun to work with too. I do love hypo, I do love jungle. However, I do love to see boas that have a lot of color without hypo and without jungle. It goes to show that not every boa needs hypo or jungle to have a lot of color. So I do have some projects that are pertaining to that. I have 2 RC pastel females that I'm excited to show as well in another video, which I'd like to give a shout out to RC himself. I'd like to make another video about that though and get his permission before I do that. However, he is another breeder that I do look up to inspirationally for myself about the boas. He's taught me a lot. He's taught me how to ship boas properly. He's taught me a lot about breeding. So I do want to make a big shout out to him as well. I typically try and give, or I would like to give shout outs to all the breeders that I've gotten my boas from. There's only one breeder, or another breeder I should say, apart from the inexperienced one I mentioned at the beginning of this video. There's another breeder. I will mention the name of their social media profile. I will not mention the individual names themselves, but it's actually the people who produced Waffles and Pancake, Snake Country. I used to follow them. I used to be big supporters of them. However, within the past year, I've learned a lot about them. I've learned a lot about the way they treat people, the way they treat their animals, and it's made me choose to no longer support them. There's a lot I'd like to say that I'm not going to say. However, they have been very disrespectful towards me. They've been disrespectful towards people I've talked to, and they did post a video that I find to be very inappropriate of one of them, or one of the workers, handling a baby reticulated python and basically yelling, asking, or not even asking, yelling, demanding for someone to take the baby snake off of his finger. And I just don't believe that someone who labels themselves as a professional breeder, or even a reptile enthusiast or snake enthusiast, should, 1, handle any animal like that, and 2, post it on social media for people to see. The title they had for the video I find also was inappropriate. So I did want to mention a little bit about that. Without starting drama, without making my content drama related, I did want to be open and honest about that. The 2 boas I got from them, Pancake and Waffles, are both very beautiful. That being said, if I would have known about how Snake Country treats other people and their animals, I probably wouldn't have gotten Pancake and Waffles, the 2 boas, from them. Do I regret getting the boas from them? No. Do I regret not speaking out sooner and supporting them for as long as I have without knowing the truth? Yes. I regret not speaking out sooner about them, about not being open and honest about my experiences. When I actually first got Pancake, Waffles' brother, the male, he had such bad stuck shed on his tail prior to me picking him up that when I got him home, when I got the stuck shed off, the tip of his tail is just significantly smaller than the rest of his tail. You can tell it was from the stuck shed. I got that off. He's been happy and healthy since. He sheds completely normal now. However, his tail is permanently slightly smaller at the end, which I may and probably will show in another video. At the time when I picked up Pancake, I actually drove to the facility, Snake Country's facility, I believe in Anaheim, and I didn't realize at the time the stuck shed on his tail. It was a long drive for me. I had just driven all the way from Northern California to Southern California in one day. I was just excited to pick up the boa. I was excited to pick up Pancake and bring him home. And yeah, I noticed the stuck shed, which I don't find to be appropriate at all. That's something that should have been addressed prior to me picking up the boa. That's something I should have realized at the time I had picked up Pancake, and that's something I should have reached out about sooner. And I didn't do so. I was younger. I didn't quite understand. It was a long drive for me, so that was something I wanted to speak on about, as that's something that has bothered me. As like I said, I do like to give shout out to the breeders that have been inspirational towards me, that I look up to, that I've learned from. And Snake Country was one of those for me until I learned the truth. I learned the truth about the way they treat, like I said, other people, myself, their animals, and it's just not something I agree with. So I no longer support them. I cannot speak for other people. It's up to other people whether or not they want to support them or not. That's not up to me to say or do. However, I wanted to share my experience, my thoughts, and how I feel on the matter, especially since I do like Waffles and Pancake so much. It's been kind of odd for me. It's left a very odd feeling in my stomach, being that, like I said, I do like Pancake and Waffles so much. And I do like to give a shout out and show appreciation to the people that produce such beautiful animals, but I just can't do so with people that treat other people and animals disrespectfully. So that was another thing I wanted to mention in this video as well. So I think that probably about wraps it up for today. Now that I've ended the video in a little bit of a drama session, I'm not afraid to be honest. I'm not afraid to speak my mind. I would like to share my experiences, be honest with my experiences. I don't have anything to hide. I want to be, like I said, open and honest. I think that's a huge part of what makes us human, a huge part of what helps the reptile community continue to grow and move forward. So I am an open book. I will not go out of my way to say mean and hurtful things about anybody. I will not go out of my way to use people's names or slander people's names. However, I will speak open and honestly about my experiences. So, thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to listen and to look at Waffles. I look forward to making more videos. Apologize for the beeping from the ice cream truck. Once again, it is a beautiful sunny day here. So, I look forward to making more content. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.